Welcome back to It's Tool Thing. Today with a update video on my Scudo wallet. Um, I knew Scudo has been coming out with a new version of the wallet. Their Gen 6, which I was just looking on their website, and I got a comment today, so I thought, heck, I was going to look on there. And their new Gen 6 is out. Um, I think this is a Gen 3 or Gen 4. I've had it for a couple of years now. You can definitely see some of the battle scars here. Overall, though, considering this thing gets drug around all over the place and it's had some spills, um, the finish has held up pretty good. I mean, obviously it's nicked up a little bit, but not bad. It's a wallet, you know. It's something that's going to take some drops, that kind of stuff. And that was one of the main reasons that I wanted this particular wallet, or a wallet. When I was looking for a wallet, I wanted something more secure because I had my wallet fall out and I had my wallet or stuff come out, and I wasn't impressed. And I really wasn't a big fan of the leather wallet. So I started looking around, and this is the one that I went with. Like I said, this is a Gen 3 or a Gen 4 unit here, which they offer. They offer these with solid fronts and solid backs. They still do, even in the Gen 6s. The Gen 5 was a bit of a departure from this. I'm going to use this as an example here. But, and I wasn't as impressed with them, though I never had one in hand. It just, the concept to me didn't seem ideal. Their thing was they were squaring up the wallet, so they moved the latch and the hinge to here. So then the wallet opened this way. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but it just seemed like it wouldn't fit, because it'd have to be wider than a card. So it's already getting a little wide in the hand. And then you'd have this thing flipped open. It had the same kind of latch mechanism. I can't see where it'd be a problem necessarily. I just don't think it fit in the hand as well as this does. And I don't have particularly huge hands. I mean, I don't know. Like, I wear an extra large in the work gloves, and whenever I do actually put one on, which is almost never. So I guess maybe with somebody's really small hands, this might even be a little bit wide, because obviously it's not much wider than a card, but it's definitely wider than a card. The Gen 6, though, it appears they've gone back to this basic shape, hinged on the top and bottom end of the card. We'll get into the Gen 6 stuff a little bit more, but we'll go over kind of my wallet and how I run with it, and then kind of go over some of the Gen 6 differences. Actually, I wouldn't mind having a Gen 6, but I'm not. There's no reason I need to upgrade this thing's in. Like I said, I mean, it's got some scratch and dents, but absolutely nothing wrong with this thing. Planning on running it forever and a day, as far as I'm concerned. So like I said, I think it's a Gen 3 or Gen 4 wallet. They offer these in without a hole here, and you can get engravings. This one has the top and bottom hole. The lid with the hole in the top and in the bottom. Like I said, they offer this solid. But I use this as an ID window. That way, because your ID isn't something you should have to get out all the time. So most of the time, that it's good enough for, like, when you're using a credit card, somebody wants to see your ID, you can just flash it to them. They can see your name on there, and they can see, your picture. The window is a little bit small, so I have had some people actually physically want to look at the ID, because at least in my state, I think it's down here in this corner, you can't see the year, because it's like all the way over here. You can't see the last 2 digits of the year, so they can't tell if it's a current ID. But in most cases, most people, I mean, there are times where you're at a bank or something, they actually physically need the ID in their hand. It's not a big deal to open it up, reach to the back, pull the ID out, provide it to them, get done with it, put it back. But in most cases, it's good enough just to be able to show it to them. The new Gen 6 ones, I didn't see a clear cover plate option. They do have a carbon fiber plate you can put in here, so that you can, their theory is you can cover up your ID when you don't want it exposed, and you can move the card further back or take it out of your wallet when you do want your ID exposed. For the most part, as long as it's in my pocket or something, I feel like it's concealed enough. I'm not too worried about it. And if it's not in my pocket, it should either be in my hand or the police are interrogating me or something, I suppose. But I do like the ID window in the back. That was one of the main reasons I went with this one, actually, was for the ID window. And then I just put the carbon fiber plate on the top. I could have got a solid one, but I didn't really want any. They have some pretty neat engravings and whatnot, but I didn't want anything flashy. I could have just gone with a solid black one, which they do offer a solid black insert now. I guess you could put that in there and then you could change it out. Some people are about style. I just was about function. They used to offer a lanyard or a longer pin, and you could put a key ring here option. I didn't see it in their current website, but I'm sure it's an option they're coming with, or it's something you can get, because it basically just was a longer pin, because this pin's held in by this set screw right here. It's probably even something you can make. Operationally, though, this thing has worked excellent. I run this a little different than I think some people do. One thing about this model and the Gen 6, if you have the open window in the rear, they don't put the holes in for the money clip. And I didn't want a money clip anyways, but I can understand why they didn't, because if there's no metal here for the money clip to sit on, you can't hold your money tight. So they don't offer the money clip holes, which I said this one doesn't have it, and that's another thing I didn't like. I wanted my cash to be secure. I don't carry a ton of cash with me, but usually $20, $30 maybe. But so how I generally operate this, I'm going to kind of have to turn it, it's a two-hand operation. There's definitely no way you're going to operate this thing single-handedly. That is not something that's going to work out. There's no springs or anything in it. The door does have a good fit. It doesn't flop around. And like I said, this is a couple-year-old unit. But you push this lock here over, and then you push the thing open slightly. And then this one is as far as this opens. The new Gen 6s, that's another one of their features they've changed. The door will stay in this position roughly. I mean, you can see it'll stay wherever you put it. And the new one that they were showing did also. But the door has, I think they said it went to 90 degrees. And this one, that's as far as that goes. They were talking about for cleaning, sure. If you're really getting into your cards, sure. But this seems to work plenty good for me. Generally speaking, the card that I'm going to be using is going to be one of the first few cards. So if it's not the first card, flip it up here. Just kind of hold it in my hand. It stays right there. Never had a problem with the cards coming out, though I could see, it's kind of just sitting there. Let's say it's the third card in. Get the card out. Generally, I don't keep them in a particular order. So at that point, I'll fold the cards down, set my thumb on it, keep it secure, use the card in question, put it in the machine, whatever you got to do. Like I said, I don't, excuse me, I don't tend to keep the few cards that I use the most in an exact order. I got a company fuel card for the shop truck. I keep it in my wallet instead of the shop truck, so I have control of it at all times. I have that I just use for company vehicle. I have, my credit card, a couple credit cards, Costco card, that kind of thing. The thing you're going to use the most often on this end here. And then I just put the card back, put it back in, nice and secure. You drop it on the ground. This thing stays latched. I have had it come out of my pocket a few times, as you can see the dents and dings on it. But I've never had this thing come open. Never even broke this plate, which I was a little concerned about this clear plate because it's pretty thin. I don't know if you can hear that. I mean, it's plastic, but I figured at some point I'd end up cracking it. I've never had a problem. This is carbon fiber. This is actual carbon fiber. I like the look of it. Like I said, I wasn't really too worried about style, but I thought that was a decent color. And then if I chose to go with something else in the future, I could. Though I've been perfectly content with the carbon fiber. They do have colored carbon fiber and so on. The latch, like I said, it's just a pull mechanism. It's got a nice beefy latch though. Flip this up where you can see. I think they say it's Delrin or something. But as you can see, that thing has not worn at all. And like I said, this has been a daily user. Every day I get this thing out, pay for my sodas, purchase whatever items I need. So I kind of go through like I said, I got my ID on the rear. I have my most common cards. I do carry cash, but I carry it on the inside, which is a departure from what they recommend. And I found it to work pretty good. As you can see here, you flip your cards as you need. They'll just sit right there. I got some notes here. I just made up some quick cards to put in here. And then I get to the cash. I'm going to pull these cards out just for this demonstration. Normally I wouldn't if I was in a store. I said I use cash every day. Not a lot of it though. Generally I just buy my sodas in the morning. It's like $2. I don't want to run a card. I don't know if they'd charge me for it. If they did, I wouldn't be happy, that's for sure. So I try to keep cash on hand. It's always nice. It's always a good idea to have a little cash, at least $20 or $30. I don't quite even have $20. This just happened to be the cash that I currently have. I always fold it in this manner. I fold it in thirds, but I fold it so that the numbers are all on the same side, so it's easy to see which bill it is. And if there's one negative, it's the folding of the bills. I'll admit that. But as you can see here, so I would flip my cards back, and I get to the cash section, which I keep near the bottom. I actually keep, in this case, I just have the Subway card as the next item. But how I like to arrange my wallet as a general rule is I have my cards I use the most. Then I have my cash. And then under my cash, I have my insurance cards, concealed carries, those kind of things. Things you don't need to get out very often. In fact, my concealed carry, the state one isn't, one of the state ones isn't a regular card. It's an actual piece of paper that I laminated. And so I was able to cut it. And it actually works even better than a card, to be honest. I was able to cut it to fit and cut it super tight. So basically, if I pulled the cash out, nothing back here, even though there's still several items, wouldn't move because that thing holds in there tight. So it actually works pretty good. The other concealed carries I have, they're just regular credit cards. They wouldn't do that. But it actually works pretty good. So, I get there. I'm buying a soda. It's $2. Not a problem. I fold each individual bill as its own bill. So it's like a card, basically. But it's a card for $1 or $5 or $10 in this case. So I need, if I need $2, not a problem. If I need $5, just pull it down, grab the 5 out, hand them the bill. It's only the one bill. And I always fold them that way, so I know I'm not handing them more than I should be. In this case, like I said, I have a 10 also in here. Like I said, the negatives with doing this system, it works well. I've had no issues whatsoever with it, but there are at least a few negatives. One is if you get a whole bunch of change, let's say somebody at work gives you back some money they owe you. You may not have enough room in your wallet, because that's one of the things I liked about the walls. It limited me on how much stuff I could carry. Just carry the stuff I need to carry, not tons of extra receipts from 25 years ago for a can of soda or some stupid thing, because I was bad about it. I wasn't as bad as a Costanza wallet, but it would get there, and then I'd have to thin it out and back and forth. Negative part is, unless you have a really important receipt that you definitely want to put in your wallet, you don't want to be stuffing a whole bunch of receipts in there. So let's say I had them, like I said, either somebody gives you some cash back or you hand somebody a 10 because that's the only bill you have and it's only $1 or $2. They're going to hand you, a 5 or a 10, a couple ones, and you can't just put them back in your wallet. They don't fit. Generally speaking, what I do is just fold them in half, put them in my hand. I've paid the person with cash. So at that point, I'm done using my wallet because I'm not going to reload the wallet right there on scene in line, slowing down the other people in line. So at that point, I would close my wallet, put it away, get the change, put it in my pocket, just fold it into half in my hand, usually what I do, to be honest. Walk out to the vehicle and then take the, I don't know, minute probably that it takes to fold each individual bill. I just fold them up. I'll actually grab those bills out and kind of go into that process just a little bit. Not that it's anything spectacular. I'm gonna pull these out again too. But you know, I'll get the one bill out. I'll fold it into a third, stick it down here. Fold the next one into a third, stick it down here, and then I always put them in order. I'd usually start with the largest bill, but I get them all down into here. After I fold them into thirds, I'll have them into this hand. And at that point, I'll retrieve my wallet back out of my pocket, open it up, flip to the cash section, basically, as I would refer to it. Even though it's just between the popularly used cards and the things you don't use very often. Stick it back in there. Once again, these cards wouldn't have come out. They just would have flipped forward here. Stick it in there, and you'll run into a scenario where you'll end up with, it'll either be super tight, and most of the time, if it's just a couple of bills more than you probably should have, you can crush them in there and get this thing to snap. It'll hold it. I've never had a problem with it once it latches, but I have had it stuffed to the max. And I have had scenarios where somebody's given me some cash and gave me a whole bunch of 20s or whatever, and I did not have room on my wallet. So that's on the negative side. But I bought this wallet in particular because I wanted a wallet that was secure. And the door opened partly. I wanted a wallet that was secure, that if you dropped it, it didn't come open. And, you know, something that I didn't have to worry about. Some of the features that the Gen 6 has, like I was saying, they offer a window in the rear or solid. They make it in, this one I believe is a 12 card, as they used to refer to it as. Now they refer to it as a 10 to 12. And I believe it's the same size as this. And they used to make one that was smaller than this, but they don't seem to offer it. It didn't have this raise here. And then they make an 18, I think they call it 16-18 card, which is slightly thicker. It looks like they got rid of the super skinny one. Like I said, you can get it with or without a rear window. You can get it with or without a front window. They have a new one that's kind of cool where it has a medallion that you can replace, and then you can put a cover plate behind it, like a carbon fiber plate behind it. That's a pretty cool option. The door has the same release mechanism, but now the door opens to 90 degrees on the Gen 6s instead of, I don't know, 45-ish or so. Has the same latch mechanism. I didn't see the lanyard option. And they have windows in the side here. They used to make one they called skeletonized back when I purchased this one, which I considered getting, to be honest. But I wanted this rear window, so I went with the rear window instead. And it was pretty cool because they basically cut a design into it. I can't remember what the design was necessarily. But it weighed less. And this doesn't weigh a lot either. I mean, it's no heavier than a regular leather wallet. I can't remember the weight. It seems like it was 4 ounces or something, or 6 ounces. But it doesn't feel bad in the pocket. Generally speaking, I'm wearing gym shorts when I'm talking about a pocket. So the other one with those cuts here would definitely lighten it. I don't think they offer a rear, like I said, a rear plastic piece currently, or at least I didn't see it. I didn't see the lanyard option. But some of the things that I thought would be interesting would be maybe a lanyard option that was longer on both sides, so that you could connect a lanyard from 2 points and actually wear it as like your ID badge, I guess. It'd be a little thick for that, but I think, you know, if that's what you wanted to do, like school teachers have to carry around or have an ID badge all the time, or something like that. That's not something I have to have. But I can see that as a nice option. Like I said, that other lanyard option used to offer a key ring, which is basically where you hook the lanyard to. I wouldn't want to hang my keys from it. Let's see here. So some of the other things that I think would be interesting would be to figure out a different way. And like I said, I'm not the engineer or anything. I'm just looking at it as things that I would think would be nice. And you put this thing in your hand, use your finger here to flip it open. It's still going to be a 2-point process, But I think it'd be interesting if they could come up with a way to make the buttons here. And I'm not sure how that would work exactly, because you're having to move the door. Maybe if you pushed in the little buttons here, they would push this latch, or a latch on both sides, would push it into the point where you could slide the door open. I think that would be an interesting upgrade. Where, I don't know, that just seemed like that would be nice. It's still going to be a two-hand operation. I guess maybe you could bump it, but if you had switches on both sides where you had to push them in flush before you could open the door, I think that'd be a nice upgrade. The other thing that I thought would be interesting, and once again, I'm not exactly sure how to implement it, especially with their new one that opens at 90 degrees. But I always thought it would be nice if they could, when they machine this, if they could have somehow had some little bit of wings here, down in this area here. I'm not showing this very well. I'm talking and not looking at the screen. But if they had some kind of a wing that went down and then went inside, it wouldn't necessarily have to cover every inch of it, but it'd be probably attached to the door. And that would just add just a bit more security when you're flipping these cards open. Like I said, I've never had a problem with it, to be honest. But I could see, because normally they stay down in here anyways. So they're kind of being held in. But I could see where if they had a little bit of a wing machined into it, that just kind of held the bottom part of the card so it couldn't slip out. I think that would be a nice upgrade. But overall, I'm super happy with this thing. Like I said, the new Gen 6 has actually got a comment today, somebody mentioning the lanyard, and I hadn't looked in, I don't know, a month or two on their website, and at that point they were talking about the new generation coming out, and the new generation is out now. So I thought it was a perfect time just to kind of hit this up and talk about it and give you my thoughts. Before I let you go, it's probably been a long video, but I'd also like to say is they don't know me from Adam. They're not paying me in any way. I purchased this item a couple of years ago. I have emailed them a couple times about suggestions, in particular making some kind of a texture, because I told them, I had some issues with it slipping out of my pocket. We had a few emails back and forth, but, other than that, they don't know me from Adam. They don't know I'm making a video. I just like their products. They are made in the USA. They're an aerospace company, if I remember correctly, and they specialize in aluminum machining, so they decided to start making a wallet, and I've been very happy with it. The other thing I forgot to touch on, so I priced this unit out, or the new Gen 6 of this unit, out with the open back. They, like I said, they don't offer a clear plate that I could see on there, at least at this point. A carbon fiber plate just like I have it. And I wrote it down just so I wouldn't mix it up here on one of my cards. Here it is. And it was $85, which I'm pretty sure is pretty close to what I paid for this thing a couple of years ago. So their prices have been pretty steady. I don't remember the exact amount I paid for it. I probably said in my other video that I've made about this thing in the past. But that's $85, and that's including their shipping, which their shipping does seem to be reasonably priced. It was only $8 shipped to the state of Washington from, I said, I can't remember where they're somewhere back east if I remember right, but I can't remember where. Like I said, USA made. The shipping's reasonable. I think the price for the wallet is excellent. Obviously, I'm as cheap as they come, but for something of this quality, I can't fault them. It seems like compared to some of the other options out there that cost more money. I think $85, and that's for a wallet very similar to this in Gen 6. Like I said, it had the open windows. Doesn't have the plate here, but it did have the carbon fiber plate, and you have to. Their website's a little confusing. The best way to look at it is you got to order. They do offer kits with a complete wallet, but to be able to make this wallet, you have to order the base, and then you have to order the lid, and then you have to order the panel, and they'll put it all together for you. It's just that's how they do a lot of them. They do make a kit with an open one, but you had to pick a panel, and you couldn't pick the carbon fiber panel. Excuse me. You had to pick one of their laser engraved ones, which are pretty cool. Just not something I was into. So to be able to get the carbon fiber panel, I had to individually order the items. But I don't think it's any more expensive. I want to say it was like $30 for the base, and then another, $35 or whatever it was for the top, and then I can't, like I said, I didn't look at the exact prices. I know the total was 85, including shipping, and then $8 or $10 or something for that. But all the prices are on there. It takes a minute to get used to what they're trying to get you to do. But like I said, they don't know me from Adam. They don't know I'm making this video. I appreciate their product, though. I appreciate their hard work. And I just wanted to let people know about it. Please like and subscribe. And as always, have a great day.